First off, shout out to Sykes 1988 for the video idea. I've been wanting to analyze another character, and this was the perfect excuse to be doing that. I'll be comparing the writing of this villain to Vox, given the context of the comment I was blessed with. But believe me, there's gonna be a few layers in this. I tried to make a very thorough analysis, so we're just gonna go right into it so I don't accidentally rant for like 2 minutes and you guys are just waiting for me to actually talk about the subject matter. We'll first cover, I'm gonna be kind of jumping between them. So, Oliver and Company. When we first establish Sykes' presence, it's through the main human character, Fagin, and he comes into, they're in a sort of like water, not water, but they're in like a boat kind of home on the water, and he comes in, the dogs are all doing their thing, and he's anxiously going around trying to, he's looking through his belongings in the chest to see if he can give anything to Sykes, and because he has to pay his debt. When he's brought on screen, his car is situated on the edge of a high up, barely stable, slim bridge, or ledge, I guess. It's not exactly a bridge. It's a thin wooden platform. Fagin is just barely able to stand on the edge, having to cling to the door in order not to fall off. Now, just the environment alone here I think is a really solid way to communicate what this villain is going to be like. Though the ledge appears complete and can function as intended, being able to hold the weight of people on it, everything constructing it is really unstable, and one wrong move could break it. I think I show it on screen here. I'll probably replay the clip if I need to. But you can see the everything that's supporting it is really like, these really thin, kind of out of whack lines. Like they're not perfectly stable. They're all sort of going in their own directions, but they are still in the end holding up the platform. The car itself is also a great characterization of this villain. The Dobermans being a prominent symbol of who he is. I think the Dobermans are very important to his character, and the bright headlights in the dark, which I see that as it being like a reminder to Fagin, like no matter if you're hiding in the dark or in the shadows or if you're trying to get away, like these lights, they're always watching you, they're always gonna they're gonna find you, like you're being shined on. He doesn't accept Fagin's offer of quote-unquote valuables, which he does call out as garbage. He rejects this because he has a reputation to uphold. When money is lent out, he expects money to be returned. Being given these items to sell later is not going to cut it. Their value is unreliable, and if he starts accepting trades like this, it's gonna cut back on his reputation. It's gonna make him seem like a less serious threat. He's frustrated with this and reminds Fagin that the situation here is a lot more severe than just giving up whatever for the debt. He gives Fagin 3 days to raise the money that he needs. When we read the wiki, they say he does this as a sort of code of honor or something of that nature. Now, how was Vox introduced in Season 1? Well, in Season 1, he's just kind of randomly put in when Alistair mentions his name, and we see him stalking the city through cameras and advertising new products. But in Season 2, first scenes that he is in are in Trust Us, which shows off how being picked up by the V's is. Vox finds new clients and he deems them as having a star potential, and he lures them into the tower. They're exploited for all they're worth until general audiences lose interest in that person and they're kicked out. By the end of the song, we already get Vox saying trust me, just me, and the very on-the-nose betrayal thing that's gonna happen. It leaves no question in our mind if he's gonna, snap later on. Aside from the song, he also has a meeting with the other V's. He's shown obsessing over his shark, which I believe he views as a sort of son to himself. Sykes is a lone shark too, I guess. So there's your loose connection of how I'm gonna connect these two characters together. This is also where he establishes his plan to rule over heaven, and Val enters with a girl toy, and Vox has no problem throwing her away to be fed to his kid. Played off as a joke, which kind of bugs me, because I think this could have been some sort of characterization of showing how little he cares for life, but I guess all three of them don't care for lives that much. In the Angel compilation, it's just, again, it's thrown in for a laugh. It's not really delved into for any sort of characterization other than you're obsessed with me. During the meeting, the others aren't really paying attention to Vox. I guess Velvet is always on her phone, but even Valentino's sort of doodling Vox and just not paying attention. I guess Vox is framed in the center mostly for this scene. The office is really blue and there's a lot of pictures of Vox, and and older models of TVs. Anyways, in the following song, he's shown imagining crushing hell and making himself big, and he's framed high up on a ledge like Scar. I don't know, they're kind of really direct with everything they want to say, so it doesn't feel like there's a lot to unpack. Also, I don't remember exactly when this happens, but there is a scene where Vox makes an appearance at the 666 News office, and the staff there are noticeably nervous around him, all except for Katie, who has her obnoxious flirting, which, again, I'm sorry, I just don't like her. We all saw the Hell's Hottest Man poll. You don't need to keep rubbing it in her face. They keep referencing it throughout the show constantly. Whatever. On the other hand, Sykes is a feared name not only in the human world, but in the dog world. His Dobermans are a direct extension of him. I think they show his more sadistic tendencies outward at first, which we'll see more of that later, but the Dobermans kind of establish it more publicly, I guess. They show a less patient side of him too, and are a lot more direct with their threats. Also, now that I mentioned patience, I should say that this theme is gonna come into play later, where his reluctance to be lenient with the time given is gonna become a bigger deal later on. Sykes' next appearance is an implied 3 days later, I believe, when Fagin prepares himself to reveal his plan of ransoming a kitty of a rich family. When invited in, he's petrified and wants to back out. When he does enter though, Sykes is on the phone casually directing someone how he wants one of his, we'll say clients to be tortured, saying start off with the knuckles and that. When he hangs up, he presumes that Fagin has the money and once again expresses his disappointment his patience has gotten him nowhere, when Fagin does not have it but starts saying something about a plan and he's not able to spit out the words. Sykes snaps his fingers and the dogs go to attack Fagin, but Dodger protects him, and as Dodger's getting beat and bloody, that's when Fagin is finally able to fumble out what his plan is with the cat. Sykes calls off his dogs and is a little bit proud of Fagin for starting to think big. He's willing to give him 12 more hours so that he can realistically get the money in time from the family once they read the note and find out that the cat is gone and they gather what they need. That night, Fagin waits at the decided location to meet with the cat owner and is very unpleasantly surprised to find out that's a little girl. During this interaction, Sykes is present in the background, shown to be watching and waiting for the first slip up. While they're busy with that, let's see what's happening with the folks and how. How do the other characters react to Vox as a presence? Well, in episode 3, we get the friendship that he has with Velvet, which doesn't really last long, but we do get to see that everyone in the hotel is stressed that the media overlord is there. Alistair just straight up leaves. There's a few things that are thrown here that kind of don't feel important but seem like they were gonna get expanded on, like the giant TV that gets dropped in, which I don't remember having any real bigger role. He gets his little moment of do you think I can be redeemed, which he makes his deal with Alistair, which I don't really have much to add that I haven't already, other than I guess I could repeat that the lightning bolt here is a very on the nose symbol of he's gonna betray the others later. And in the Don't You Forget reprise, we have Alistair directly saying how Vox is gonna lose his marbles in Act 3, which this is really not how you do foreshadowing. There's nothing left up to interpretation for the viewer here. There's no theorizing. It's just Alistair's telling you what's gonna happen. When characters call out what's going to happen repeatedly, it breaks any sense of immersion, and I really get the sense the show was made to be played while people are actively posting their thoughts to Twitter, like talking about every single scene and not fully paying attention. In Oliver and Company, or frankly any better written show or movie, but we'll just stay focused on these two for right now, we see him demonstrate a thin level of patience each time Fagin doesn't give him the money. Though the cracks show, and he's sometimes has a slip up of his voice getting louder, like he's trying not to yell, but he's keeping it down. He will rationalize his leniency to himself every time and try to keep up his persona. The plan with the cat especially is to him trying to... Also, I know I said that when Vox calls himself the Führer, I found it funny, but it does actually annoy me that they were so blatant and direct with the parallels. When unveiling the weapon too, he says thanks to me, which it just tells me they only know one way to foreshadow that he's going to be like, everything's about about me, but whatever. We're gonna compare the captive scenes, I'm gonna call them. Scenes where the protagonist is taken as a hostage by our star villains. Vox's villainy is probably shown the best in his scene, where he's framed to feel more menacing and he hides in the shadow before attacking Angel with his brutal methods of physically and mentally breaking Angel, torturing him, and taunting him for being empty-minded because he's stealing all of his memories. I've talked about this twice already, so I won't bore you with covering it again. But yeah, after that, Angel is used to promote the V's movement and is kept in the tower. As for Sykes, what is he up to? Well, after Fagin fails to get ransom money, he gives back the cat for free. Sykes emerges from his hiding spot and the headlights come back on and he steals the kid. Again, the headlights there to remind Fagin that no matter what he does, any slip-ups that he has, it's always going to be noticed. Fagin may have not been able to do it, but Sykes is willing to carry out the plan, as it's clear that this is probably a small task in his head compared to whatever else it's implied that he's done for money. On the way out, he tells Fagin to consider their account closed, which in the wiki says that he does that for, again, a sort of code of honor or dignity, something like that. Personally, I think it's just because he sees no further use in Fagin and he wouldn't want to go through the trouble of killing him and having to hide his tracks and going through all that. It's just simpler to cut him off. Sykes holds the girl hostage in his office, and I think it's worth noting that he already has the family's number on standby, as if he knew that Fagin wasn't going to be able to follow through with this, or that this isn't his first time holding someone ransom for money, and he has all high-income households' numbers written down and ready for any given situation like this. He also tells Jenny that the dogs only attack on his command, which I think establishes a close bond that he has with them, based on how obedient they are and the doin features all around his car. It's safe to say that he cares greatly for them. They are an extension of him after all. So, the protagonist dogs cause a noise, which Sykes sends his dogs to go investigate, and once they're out of the way, the main dogs dress up as a pizza delivery guy, which obviously Sykes isn't going to fall for. So what does he do? He does what any good American does. He takes his gun out and he goes to check out what's going on. And then he decides, well, I'm already out, I might as well see what the dog's doing. So he goes to see what his dogs are doing. So while they're out doing their thing, the main dogs sneak into the office, lock the door, and they get Jenny onto a hook, like they hook the chair so that they can be hoisted away and saved. Sykes returns to find that he can't get back in the office. He's lost a lot of patience. He has the last of his patience displayed here, and he calmly tells Jenny to open the door for him. When nothing happened, he breaks through. Seeing that they're escaping prompts him to grab a nearby axe and sever the cables that are powering the hook. And with a snap of his fingers, Dobermans are after the protagonists, which are being rescued by Fagin. Sykes pursues them in his car, driving recklessly through the subway tunnel, which is crazy. The car gets all torn up while he's on the train tracks, and electricity shoots through it, and there's like lightning all around there. And Sykes is so determined to catch them that the gear shifting in the car breaks that. I'm no expert, I don't know what that does, but probably something to make the car go a lot faster. In the hectic chase, he stops caring about what the well-being of his dogs is, and doesn't even bat an eye when they are thrown off and brutally killed. The car, I think, here is a representation of his rapidly deteriorating mental state, and the death of his dogs indicate how he's losing whatever final pieces he has of himself left. Being outwitted by such a simple trick by a kid, some strays, and the guy who couldn't pay him back for that debt is a huge blow to his ego. Jenny gets grabbed again, and he's so dead set on getting her for the money that he doesn't care about the chunks of himself that he's lost with this endeavor. I think it's fitting where this chase starts, because he quite literally gets so tunnel visioned on this goal that when they're out on the bridge and there's a train coming at them, he doesn't even think to swerve out of the way. He's so narrowly focused on getting her. And their final scene with him is seeing the fear in his eyes, and he has a sudden moment of clarity tree, and he's like, oh damn, I kind of messed up here, and he's turned into a red splatter on the train, which they don't show that, but you know it's implied. In comparison, what's Vox's death like? Well, he doesn't die. He gets his moment to cry over Alistair, but he just sort of gets kicked off of the weapon. I really think they should have let him blow up. Maybe they could have had it like unhook from Lucifer, and the last bit of power that was in the weapon would have surged through to Vox, and all that overwhelming like angelic power would have been what explodes Vox from the inside out, and he gets this one final grand show. He doesn't achieve his goal of becoming God, but he does get to be like this big spectacle in the end. Whatever the case, I think it's clear here that we have a really well villain versus an attempt that kind of falls short. I'll be honest, in the context of Has-Been, Vox might be my favorite, but outside of that, I really think he's lacking as a character. All of his writing is kind of very surface level, and sure, he's supposed to be a loser, but do we really need the characters to spell that out? Does he really need to outright always act the way that he does? He's supposedly a cult leader and was able to get away with murdering several stars and executives. I hate to say this, but it's such like a clearly early OC writing. He's got so many thrown together traits that don't really add up or come together in a grand way. The spy reveal, while it was cool, kind of felt tacky when you think about it again. The shark obsession too, it seems more of like a trait to make him seem more cute, and I guess the connection you can make is that there is always a bigger fish out to eat other fish. That's kind of really it that I can think of, at least. If someone has more in-depth analysis on his animal connection, I would love to know it. In comparison, this villain from a frankly very underrated Disney movie, yes, Has-Been, your constant Disney references are not lost on us. He's pretty lacking in comparison to this beloved villain. Every scene that Sykes is in, I feel, characterizes him further. I forgot to mention this too, but when the dogs are attacking Fagin's dog, he's so like casual about just tending to his little boat collection, or the mini wooden boats, and when the plan is mentioned, that's when he snaps his finger. Anyways, he's characterized in every scene that he's in, and the way that he represses his urge to shout at Fagin, or the way that he's kept in shadows, like it all works really well. His eventual break is so much more impactful because it's believable. He's always demonstrated to be like intelligent and attempting to appear refined, but after so many blows to his ego and not being able to just keep it down anymore, he snaps, and now he's like ready to stop at nothing, get what he wants to try to reclaim the power that he had. Vox's rise kind of comes from characters acting stupid when they really could have done a lot better, and when he finally breaks, it's over Alistair's remarks, which I guess those ego blows add up, and Al did mean a lot to him being his gay awakening and all, but I don't know. His finale kind of loses any impact it could have had, because again, he doesn't die, he doesn't leave real lasting damage. It's whatever though. I'm sure there's other people who will happily analyze Vox, and I'm just being a hater, I guess. I didn't realize how long the script was getting, but yeah, it's safe to say I really did enjoy going over Sykes as a character. I hope I went through all of my points. There's a lot written here, and I feel like I'm missing something. Probably missing a lot, because there's so much more depth to this character. It's interesting to note too that I read a lot of the wiki to make sure that if there was anything that I missed in the movie that I would have more context. But they note how his rise in power came from preying on people who were in need of money, and then I assume as he fed from the needy and the poor that he would rise to richer people to gain his power. And there's definitely something to be said about the fact that the environment that he's mostly in is water oriented, but I'm not smart enough to figure that out. Also, I was gonna quickly cover like design stuff, but I didn't plan that out very well. But I will say one of the most obvious compare and contrast things I can say about their designs is that Sykes actually looks his age. Like, he actually looks like a 60-year-old person. Vox doesn't really pass as a 50-year-old guy. He doesn't have any wrinkles, he doesn't really have any gray hair. He has a really young looking body, which I guess if you want to say that's because he's a TV star and he gets a lot of plastic surgery to uphold a certain look, that's fair, but I do kind of wish that they leaned into him looking his age more. Anyways, this was a really fun thing to cover. I would love if anyone had like a character that they wanted me to go over, and just let me know if there's a character you're interested in, give like a take on that. And yeah, I wonder if this is gonna get out before the pinstripe video or if this will be after. Let past me know. Anyways, love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.